Hello from the Richland Hills Public Library. I'm Miranda, the youth librarian, and today we're starting a brand new series to go with our summer reading club theme, which is Imagine Your Story. And this week we are doing dragons. So I'm really excited about this project. This is one of those projects that I kept seeing online over and over again, and I'd never had the chance to actually do it. But I did for this project. So today I'm going to teach you how to make these very awesome dragon eggs. They look really detailed, but seriously, I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to do it. But they're super easy. It does take a lot of time, but that's your main factor is finding the time to do all the bits and pieces. But it was not difficult to put together at all, not half as difficult as I thought it was going to be. So this is what I'm going to kind of show you the steps on how to make. Obviously, we're not going to make a whole one now because they do take a lot of time, but I did want you to get the chance to actually see what a finished one looks like. So this is my finished purple one. And with the ingredients that we have over here today, I'm going to show you how to make a candy corn one. Yay! So these are all things that you don't necessarily have to have, but what I found was easiest to have and worked best for my egg. So obviously you need an egg. This one I think is a little over 3 inches by 2 inches. And with this egg, you will need approximately 250 thumbtacks. You might need a little bit more, you might need a little bit less. It's all in how many thumbtacks you put on your egg, like how close together you place them. So that makes all the difference, but about 250 is the number. As you can see, I miscounted and had purple ones left over from my first egg. So you're going to need some sort of styrofoam, something, to put your thumbtacks into. This is the easiest method for painting them that I have found anyway. So I guess you could use cardboard. I don't know how well they'd stick into cardboard. They did pretty well sticking into the styrofoam though. And I did need 2 of them to get all 250 thumbtacks in there. Actually, I think I originally did 256 and this is what was left over. So let's see. So thumbtacks, your styrofoam pieces, your styrofoam egg. You'll need some acrylic paint, only because acrylic dries faster, so it makes the process go faster. You'll need some water, your thumbtacks, of course, I already said that. You don't have to use nail polish, but I really like adding glitter to just about everything, and nail polish is the best way to do that to the thumbtacks. So we've got our nail polish colors here. A couple of different size brushes. I actually probably should have gotten a bigger brush for painting my egg, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then some sort of stick. I'm using a shish kebab stick. You could probably use toothpicks, but this is a little bit better, and I'll show you mine in a second. All right, and then a towel or something so that you can dry off your brush in between changing colors. Okay, so first things first is you want to paint your egg. Now, technically, this isn't something that you have to do. What I found, though, is that if you paint your egg, you don't necessarily have to keep your thumbtacks as close together, and so you use less thumbtacks that way. That was my experience anyway. So we're going to paint the egg first, and then go from there. I probably should have brought out a palette, too, but that's okay. So for painting your egg, the best thing to do... Ooh, I think I just got a splinter. Ow. Is just kind of stick this down into the bottom. You don't want it to go too far because you don't want too big of a hole there. But you want it enough so that it's not going to fall off and so that it doesn't spin. Because if it spins, then it'll make it harder to paint. Then you're just going to stick it down into this. And then the thing about this project is it's best to kind of jump between things. Even using acrylic, our egg is not going to dry super fast. And because of that, you'll want to have your egg painted and drying while you start on your painting on your thumbtacks. So we're going to get started on our egg. Let's go ahead and do that. I like to wet down my brush a little. You can totally have like a paper plate or something and squirt your paint out onto that. Usually I'll just Oh, except this one's almost empty. Hang on. Watch me make a mess. There we go. Oh, this is really old paint too. Okay. All right, so you just start painting your egg. Oh, really old paint. That's okay. And you don't have to get it super coated. You just want it to not be white underneath. Unless you're using white as one of your base colors for your egg. In this case, I actually am, since I'm doing the candy corn thing. But I decided that I would prefer to have yellow as my base for my egg. So, oh, I should state at this point, do not use spray paint on your styrofoam egg. That will achieve nothing except to dissolve your egg into a mass of plastic and paint, and that won't do you any good. So you do have to actually paint your egg, as opposed to spraying it down. There may be spray paints out there that will not eat your egg, but if there are, I'm not familiar with them. Wow, this is really bad paint. Of course, the great thing about acrylic is that it can be easily watered down. So even though this paint is really thick and not doing what I want it to, with a little bit of water, it helps it out a little bit. All right, so obviously you're gonna cover your entire egg. Once you've got your egg covered and it's drying, you can start on your thumbtacks. So for this part, where did that come from? Okay, just gonna get our thumbtacks. And this is where the time-consuming part comes in, because you are just going to take your thumbtacks and place them. You don't want them too close together, because once you start to brush the paint on, if they're too close, then your brush will get onto your other thumbtacks, and it can cause problems depending on what colors you're using. If all of your colors are similar enough, then it doesn't really matter too much. So I tend to do my thumbtacks in a circle, like I'll circle all the way around the edge, and then I'll go into the next edge, etc., etc. And then that helped me to kind of keep things straight, but really it's just whatever works best for you. So once you've got enough thumbtacks in there, then you pick your colors. So I'm definitely going to use some yellow, but we're also going to do some orange. Like I said, we're making a candy corn dragon egg. So for this one, I tend to use a smaller brush. Makes it a little bit easier. And then this paint is way better than my yellow paint. And then you just brush onto the top. For the acrylic paint, I found that I do have to do a couple of different, couple of layers. Fortunately, it's acrylic, so it dries pretty fast. And that way you're not dealing as much with like lumpies in the paint or anything like that, or streaks. As you can see, there are some streaks at the moment, but when you do another layer on top, they usually go away, as long as the streaks aren't too thick. All right. So, and of course, when you're doing this project at home, you would have this entirely filled with thumbtacks. And what I would, whoops, I'm making a mess. What I would normally do, even though I painted them all in orange here, is that I'd do my pattern, whatever my pattern happens to be. So it would be orange, and then I'd skip two and do another orange, and skip two and do another orange, and skip two, and then I do yellow and skip, and yellow and skip. That keeps me from having to go back and forth between the paints and cleaning my brush off every single time. And that way, I know approximately how many of each color I've got and what sort of pattern I'm going to be doing. So we're going to wait for these to dry, and then I will show you the next part of the project. Okay, so we're back now. Obviously, I've been doing some extra work. My egg is now completely painted and dry. Yay. The egg does take a little bit longer to dry because it's so porous. So what I eventually had to do was turn the fan on. And that made things dry so much faster. I love acrylic paint. So I also, as you can see here, went ahead and did our other two colors because that was really important so that I can show you how to layer them onto the egg. So we have, in addition to having the orange, we've also got the yellow. I do want to note, especially with cheap acrylic, which is definitely what I'm using for this, it took many layers to cover the thumbtacks in a way that I was happy with. I want to say the orange ones took like 4 or 5 layers and the yellow ones took at least 6, and I'm still not happy with how the yellow ones look, but putting additional layers on them doesn't seem to be changing their color at all at this point, so I gave up. Fortunately, you can see that once I added my nail polish to them, that kind of helped to cover that up. So you can see, like on the orange ones, they definitely look better than the ones over here. The white, interestingly enough, I did not have trouble with. I think I did 3 layers and then it was good. But as you can see on the yellow, it just feels very like, I don't know, in some areas it looks more green than yellow, but putting the nail polish on seemed to help with that, so we're good. All right, so we have a few of each color. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our egg off, and then the key is to start at the bottom of your egg. Don't start at the top, otherwise your dragon egg probably will look funny. No, it will look funny. So start with the bottom, and then you just pick whichever color you want to be your base piece. I'm gonna go with an orange one. And then of course I've got this hole from where I had this stuck in, and if I put this in here, it's gonna fall right out. But one of the things I love about this project is that you don't really need glue, because once that one's in there, then you just start layering one on top of the other. Ooh. That one is not completely dry. That's my fault. That's okay. All right. And then normally I would use more than 3 colors, only because you'll get more variety when you start to layer. But this color scheme was requested by a friend, so we will do our best. So you just keep layering, and as you can see, sorry, I'm just one on top of the other over and over again all the way around. And we are going to get to the point where the colors are going to start duplicating, but that's okay too. And you can kind of see here, I actually like, it's stuck out a little bit too far, but it's really easy to pick them back up and then just get them in a little bit closer so that it layers up a little better. Okay, so let me do a few more of these. What am I missing? Oh, silver. We're on silver. And this is the reason that it takes so many of these, because you really are layering pretty heavily on top of each piece in order to make sure that you don't have any gaps and to create the effect that you want. Let's see. And of course I'm about to run out here, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep going until I do. Somehow I wound up with an extra yellow. It's probably because I was testing them a little bit more heavily since I wasn't liking the colors that were coming out of it. All right. Okay, but as you can see, that's a really good start. And if you compare it to my purple one here, and then they're not falling out at all. You will start to have trouble with some of these. They might want to pop out now and then, especially if they're not completely dry when you start putting them on here. But you just layer them up and around all the way up to the top. And on this purple one, the only thumbtack that has any glue is this one right here on the top. I glued that one down to keep it from popping out on me because it did want to do that like over and over again. But none of these other ones are glued down. They're just stuck in there because they've been layered on top of each other so tightly that they're not going to come out of there, which is really cool. All right, so there you have it. This is how you make a really cool thumbtack dragon egg. Again, like I said, it does take a lot of time and a lot of patience, so you might have to set up like a specialized area in your house for it so that you can come and go from it as you need to. But once you're done, it does make a really awesome egg that, I mean, I'm so happy. I still can't believe I made this one. It's a really awesome egg, and you can make them for yourself, make them for your friends, like I'm gonna do with my candy corn egg here. And I mean, I've seen them for sale on Etsy, so I mean, you could probably even make a business out of it if you wanted to. So there you go, dragon eggs. Next, let's see, I think we'll have another video on Friday, also dragon themed, so make sure you tune in for that. If you decide to make a dragon egg for us, please take pictures so that we can see all your cool dragon egg designs. I can't wait to see them. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a good day.